Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over the answers to your Chapter 7 study guide on percents. If you have not completed the study guide yet on your own, please do so now before you go over the answers so that you can try the problems on your own and then check to see how you did. I linked a copy of the study guide in the Lincoln Empowered assignment, so you can either print it out and work on it, or you can, look at it from the computer and show your work in your notebook. All right, so again, if you are watching this video, you should have already completed the study guide and are now checking your answers. So we're going to start with the first problem. All right, so for the first problem, they're telling you there are 10 ants, 5 grasshoppers, 4 butterflies, and 6 bees. Butterflies make up what percent of the insects? So we want to know what percent out of the total insects are the butterflies. So we first need to figure out the total. Well, I have 10 ants plus 5 grasshoppers plus 4 butterflies plus 6 bees. So in total, I have 15 plus 10, which is 25 insects total. If I need to figure out what percent the butterflies are out of the total, I can remember that the percent can be found by taking the part divided by the whole and then multiplying by 100%. So the butterflies make up the part. That would be 4 butterflies out of the whole, the total, which is 25. Once I get my answer, I'm going to multiply by 100 to get to my percent. 4 divided by 25 in my calculator is how I can figure out the 4 out of 25. That is 0.16. 0.16 now has to multiply by 100 to get my percent. I can multiply it in my calculator or know that it's really moving the decimal place 2 spaces to the right. So my answer is 16%. I can check my answer by using the formula that percent times the total or original number will give me my part. So if my percent is 16 out of 100, multiplied by my total, 25, should get me the answer of butterflies, or number of butterflies, 4. So let me put that in my calculator to check. 16 divided by 100, the 16%, 0.16, times my total, times 25, gives me my 4 number of butterflies. Let's look at B. B says that 28 sheep got sheared. If 7% of the sheep got sheared, how many total sheep are there? So let's try method 1 that we've used in class, which is using the formula, the percent times the whole, or total, is equal to the part. I have the percent, 7% out of 100. I need to multiply by the total or the whole. I don't have that, so I can just write total there. And that equals my part, which is 28, because 28 sheep got sheared. That's out of a total that we don't know, so that's only part of the total. So then I have to calculate 7 divided by 100, which is 0.07 as a decimal, multiply by the total we don't know, so we can call that x, and that equals 28. So the opposite operation that I would perform is dividing by 0.07 to both sides. So then I would get that the total is whatever the answer 28 divided by 0.07 is. That is 400. Because the 28 was only 7% out of the total. So it would make sense that my total would be a big number. That's using the first method. Let's take a look at method 2, which is where you would draw yourself your double number line. So again, we're still working on B, just a different method. So with my double number line, I have 0% to 100%, my total. I need to figure out, they gave me 7%, so let me put that up there. I need to figure out my total. That's missing because I don't know the total sheep. They did say that this 7% that got sheared is equal to 28. So I do need to use that information to figure out how I can get to my total. Well, if I did have 7% equal to 28 sheep, then I could figure out what 1% is equal to by taking that 28. Since it makes up 7%, I can divide by the 7 to get 4. So then I would know 4 sheep make up each percent. So that 4 times 7 would get me to 7%, which is 28. So now if I want to go from 1% to 100%, I would multiply by 100, the 1%. And then since 4 is equal to that 1%, 4 also has to multiply by 100 to now get to the total of 100%. 4 times 100 is 400. So again, I took my answer when I figured out 1% after dividing into those 7 pieces, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, 7 times. So I divided it by 7 to figure out what each of those parts is, which is 4. Multiply by 100 to get to the total. I also get the answer of 400. So use whichever method you find easier to figure out. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says that your current monthly salary is $3,000. You are looking at a new job that pays $2,850 per month. So it looks like it's decrease, it pays less. What is the percent decrease you will need to consider if you switch jobs? Show your work, use any method. So it looks like this job pays less, but maybe you're considering it because of other reasons, like it's closer to your work or you're closer to your house so you wouldn't have to drive as far, or maybe you have better hours or something. So you do want to consider like, is it worth the decrease? And how much of a decrease is it? What percent decrease? All right, so if I want to know the percent decrease, usually they give you a percent, right? So here you're trying to figure out the percent. Remember, percent is just the part out of the whole multiplied by 100% to change it into a percent. So if they want to know the percent decrease, you actually want to know how much less this new job is paying you. So you're going to actually take the $3,000 minus $2,850 to figure out what that difference is. 3,000 minus 2,850. The difference is $150. That's the part we're looking at. 150. And you want to divide it out of the whole, so you got to figure out which salary you need to divide it from. So it's actually going to be the original amount, the 3,000, because it is decreasing from that amount to get to the new amount. So that's why you multiply or you divide by the original amount. then take that answer and multiply by 100 to change it into a percent. So 150, which was the actual difference, you're getting paid $150 less per month. Divide by 3,000. It changed. It went down $150 from the original amount of 3,000 that you are currently being paid. So you get 0.05. That's the percent as a decimal. You would need to multiply by 100 to get it as a percent, which is 5%. So it looks like your new job, at your new job, you would be getting paid 5% less, which is just more data for you to think about if you're considering switching to that job. Now, if you wanted to use method 1 to solve this problem, again, it would be percent times the original amount equals the new amount. And again, you don't have the percentage, so you would have to keep that blank, P, multiply by your original, which is $3,000 that you are currently making, to equal your new amount, $2,850. And then to solve this, since this is multiplied by 3,000, you would divide by 3,000. And then you would get P equals whatever that answer is, 2,850 divided by 3,000. You get 0.95. And now you would have to change that into a percent. So that would be multiplied by 100 to become 95%. Now be careful, if it's 95%, that means that it was decreased by 5%, and that's why you end up with the 95%. So your answer is actually what had to be taken away to get to that percent. If you are going to use method 2 with your double number line, it also requires you to think a little bit with your answer and your method. If you are starting off at $3,000, your original amount, and now your job pays less, it pays $2,850, you do need to figure out this percent here, right? How much did it actually decrease to? What percentage are you actually getting now? So it's a little bit more complicated, but you can still do it. If 100% is $3,000, you can take the 3,000 divided by 100 to get 30. So basically 1% would be $30. And then you do need to kind of figure out what can you multiply by to get from 30 to 2,850. You can simply divide in your calculator 2,850 divided by 30 would be 95. So you would have to multiply by 95 to get to 2,850. 1% would also have to multiply by 95. So then that means this is 95%. So the decrease would have been 5%. So a little bit more complicated. So in both method 1 and 2, you have to just understand your 95% is what it became after the decrease. So the decrease had to be 5%. If you subtract already in the beginning, then that just gets you your percent decrease. All right, let's take a look at number 3. Due to the economy, the price of gas increased by 17% to now $5.42 per gallon. What was the original price rounded to the nearest cent? So that means you're going to get an ugly answer at the end with tons of decimals, but you just need to round to the nearest cent because you're talking about money. Show your work, use any method. So let's try method 1 first. Method 1 again is percent times your original, because we're talking about increase now, equals your new amount. This says that it was increased by 17%. Increase means your original 100% increased by 17, so now you're dealing with 117%. So when we talk about percent here, we're really talking about 117% out of 100. Times our original. We don't know it, that's what we're trying to find. So let's just keep it as x equals my new amount, which is $5.42. So I'm going to divide 117 by 100 to get my percent as a decimal. That's 1.17 times x, because we didn't know the original amount, equals $5.42. So in reverse, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 1.17. So now my answer will be whatever 5.42 divided by 1.17 is, which is 4.6324, yada, yada, yada. We're going to round to the nearest cent, so it's 4.63. $4.63. That was the original price of gas per gallon. Increased by 17%, so that's why now it's more expensive at $5.42 per gallon. Let's try method 2. So with method 2, we're going to draw a double number line. Give myself some more room. 0% on one side, 100% on the other. And then let's see, this gas increased by 17%. So we're really talking about 117% here, since it increased by 17. And now that price is $5.42. Okay, we want to know the original price, the original 100%. So if $5.42 is 117%, in order to figure out 1%, I need to take my $5.42 and divide it into 117 pieces so that I know what each of those pieces is actually worth, the 1%. 5.42 divided by 117, I get this, 0.0463, all that. I'm going to write as many of those digits as I can, because if I round it, my answer is going to be a little bit less accurate. Okay? So I'm not going to round until the very end. So I should use in my future calculations 0.046324786. How about that? As much as I can write down. 463244786. Okay, if that is my 1%, in order to get to 100%, I need to take my 1% and multiply by 100. So that means I need to take this number in my calculator and multiply by 100 to get my answer. So if you didn't clear off your calculator, like I did right here, then you can actually just use that original amount and then multiply by 100. Okay? So then you will get $4.63 rounded to the nearest cent. Now, if I didn't use that and I just rounded it to 0.04 instead of that, and then I multiplied by 100, then I would just get $4, right? I would have lost all my cents, my decimals at the end. So you kind of just want to write as many decimals as you can down so that you can keep it accurate. Because $4 compared to $4.63 is actually a pretty big difference. So using method 2, you can still get $4.63. All right, let's take a look at number 4. It says, during a Black Friday sale, you buy $45 headphones for 15% off. Calculate the sale price. Show your work. Use any method. So you want to figure out the sale price. These headphones were $45, and now you are going to take off 15%. So you want to figure out the new price after the discount. Okay, so Using method 1, again, percent times the original amount will get you your new price. All right, so before I use this method, let me think. If I want to just calculate the discount, then I can use the percent 15 out of 100. Multiply by my original, which is 45. And then I'll get my discount. So let's do that. 0.15 times 45. 0.15 times 45. I get $6.75. That's my discount. Okay, I need to figure out the sale price. So I would still have to take my $45, subtract $6.75 to get my sale price, what I would actually pay for. And that would be $38.25. Okay, because I used the first method to figure out the discount. So since that wasn't the answer, I still had to subtract from $45. $38.25 is my actual sale price. Now, if you're one of those people like me and you don't want to have to do that subtraction later, you can still use the first method, percent times original equals new. And all you have to do is think to yourself, okay, if I don't want to do that subtraction later, I have to think to myself, my sale price that I actually pay at the end is going to be what percent? Well, my original is 100%. I would take away that 15%. So really at the end, I'm only paying 85%. So I can take that 85% and use that here instead of the 15. And I'll get straight to my answer. 85% of $45 would be 0.85 times 45. And I get right to $38.25. And that's because I performed my subtraction first. And I had to know that the percent I actually pay after taking off the 15% is what's left over, the 85%. Either way, using that first method, you can get the answer. Let's take a look at our second method, which is drawing our double number line. 0%, 100%. So let's fill in stuff. 100% is $45. That was the original price of the headphones. I'm taking off 15%, so that means 85% is over here. So I would have to figure out this amount here. Okay, so to figure out 1%, I would have to take the 100 and divide by 100 to get to 1%. So 45 would also divide by 100 to figure out that 1%, and I would get 0.45. So now in order to get from 1% to 85%, I would multiply by 85. So that means over here, I would also multiply by 85 to get to what my 85% is. So that would be 0.45 times 85, and I get $38.25. Okay, because if I were to subtract 15%, that gets me right to 85%. All right, our last question is number 5. If the state tax in Hawaii is 4%, how much sales tax do you pay for a dining room table that costs $600? Show your work, use any method. So here's the first method. Percent times the original equals new. If you want to figure out the sales tax alone, then you're just figuring out the 4%. So you would take the 4 divided by 100, your 4%, multiply by my original cost, which is 600. So to figure out the sales tax, whoops, that's not 0.4, it's 0.04 times 600. Okay, because they just want the sales tax. They don't want the final bill with the sales tax added on to your dining room table. They just want to know how much that 4% is out of your total bill. So in my calculator, I would punch in 0.04 because that's 4%. 0.4 would be 40%. So that I almost wrote that by missing my 0 times 600. So that's $24. So if you were to buy a $600 item, you're paying $24 in taxes in Hawaii. Let's look at the second method. So second method, we're going to draw ourselves a double number line, 0%, 100%. 100% of the table is $600. It's not on sale or anything. I need to figure out 4%. Well, 100 of the percents is 600. So I can take the 600 and divide it by 100 to figure out what each of those percents is. And then that would be $6 for each percent. So then 1% has to multiply by 4 to get to 4%. So then 6 has to also multiply by 4 to now get to the 24, which is my answer. You could also think, well, 4 has to multiply by 25 in order to get to 100. So to get right to 4%, you could take 600 divided by 25 to get to your answer. 600 divided by 25 equals 24. So that could also get you straight to your answer. And that's because 100% divided into 25 pieces is equal to 4%. But if that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. You can just break it down to 1%, build it back up to 4%. Okay, those are the solutions to your study guide. Let me know if you have any questions or come to office hours Monday student support and I can help you out.